Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to be doing a new feature every month, at least I'm going to try to do it every month, where I go through my favorite books of the previous month. So I know we're kind of far into June, but I wanted to go ahead and do a quick post about my favorite books from May. I always read about 20 to 30 books a month, and for me, in May, there were 4 books that really stuck out as being super just different and exciting, and I really love them. So the first one, I don't have anywhere because I got from the library, but the first one I really, really loved in May was An Anatomy of Beasts by Olivia A. Cole. And this is the second book in the Folove. It was supposed to be a duology, but it seemed like there's going to be more stories, so maybe it's going to be a trilogy now. Anyways, this is a young adult science fiction book that I just think it's super unique because of the writing style. The writing style is absolutely beautiful, and it flows so nicely. It's so easy to read and so engaging. And I really, really loved the fact that this book is set on a different world where the plant life and the animal life is all kind of symbiotic and really controls how the original people from the planet live. The whole book is about a teenage girl who's on that planet, and she gets very involved with understanding how the plant life is and how the plant life and animals interact with the natives on the planet and how to kind of save that form of life from Earth. She came with people from Earth there, so to kind of save the native life from things that people on Earth are doing to the planet. Of course, there's a conspiracy and all this stuff involved as well. But I think what's really unique about that book for me is just how beautifully it's written and how unique the setting is and how interesting it is to have all this very sentient plant life that interacts with both not only the native people, but the animals and how everything works together. I just really love it. It's a very creative series, and I love that book. I thought it was so good, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited that I don't think it's the end of the series. I was going to say how it wrapped up the series, but I'm happy that's not the end of the series, and I hope that we see more books in that series. All right, the second one I want to talk about is one that was really different, and I don't know if everybody will like this book, but I really liked it, and that's Break the Bodies, Haunt the Bones by Micah Hicks. This is one very bizarre and slightly disturbing book, but it is one of the most different and creative books that I've read this year, and I found it very compelling. It's about a young woman named Jane who lives in a place called Swine Hill. It's kind of a manufacturing town, and this meat factory kind of runs the whole town. The interesting thing about this town is that there's ghosts. Ghosts are real in this town, and they haunt people, and they drive people to act certain ways. Now, this book is such a bizarre combination of hauntings. She has a brother who makes these strange sci-fi devices that he's using to do different things, and so he's driven by his ghost to create these bizarre inventions. And then there's sentient pigmen that come into play. I know it sounds insane, and it was a little insane, but I just found it very compelling and interesting. The whole time I was just this is the weirdest book I have read this year, but I really somehow love it. So if you like things that are really quirky and different, I would definitely recommend this book. It ends a little open-ended, which was the only thing I found disappointing about it, but I really liked it, and I just thought it was so weird. I don't even really know how to explain it. I did the best I could, but if you like the bizarre and quirky, you should check this one out. It was pretty cool. All right, the third book I wanted to talk about is another kind of young adult dystopian sci-fi novel, and that is The Kingdom by Jess Rotherberg. I got this because I requested this for review because the synopsis just sounded so intriguing to me. It's about a bunch of androids who are the princesses who work in kind of a Disney World type park called The Kingdom. And it's all set in the future, and people come to the kingdom to escape and have family vacations, just like they would, going to Disney World today. But in the kingdom, the princesses are androids, and the princesses, they're androids. They're not real people. And this book is about an android. I'm trying to remember her name now. Anyway, she's a half android, and can't remember her name. Anna. I was trying to scan the back real quick. Anna. And it's really interesting because these androids are becoming sentient. And they're starting to have feelings and thoughts about what they do for a living, right? And they're all different parts of the scale as far as sentience goes. Some of these androids are perfectly happy to be brainless ditzy princesses. Some of them are getting upset that they're having to do this mindless activity over and over and be happy and interact with these people. And some of the androids are just plain going wrong and causing accidents and incidents to happen at the park. If you are interested at all in artificial intelligence, this was a really good book for discussing that and how robots could become human and make human decisions. I also really loved that it focused on how a theme park runs and really gave you kind of a behind the scenes look in how theme parks run. Now, granted, this isn't a real theme park, but I've read some other books about theme parks in the past as well, and this does give you a very good look into that. And I just thought it was super engaging, very intriguing, and I really liked it. I read it and I pretty much devoured it. I just could not get enough of it. So this was the third book in May that I really enjoyed, and I would recommend if you're looking for something a little bit different. It's a science fiction book about artificial intelligence, and it kind of has some of these fun Princess Disney World elements in it. But it's not a fluffy novel. It's pretty heavy at times. So that was the third book I really liked in May. And then the final one I really wanted to talk about is The Story Peddler and I'm going to look, I have a cheat sheet here because I forget sometimes, by Lindsey A. Franklin. And this is the first book in the Weaver trilogy. And it's actually been out for quite a while. I think a little over a year. This is a young adult fantasy book, and I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Mostly because of the magic system and the way, again, the book was written. I completely got sucked into The Story Peddler right away when I started it. I liked the characters. I liked the magic system. I just thought it was really neat. The magic in this book is all based on creative arts and sciences. So, the story weaver actually can, draw bands of color out from her magic and weave stories that then crystallize into a final sculpture that she then sells to people. And they've got song weavers that can kind of do the same thing, and artists, and it's a very interesting society. And it's a repressed society where the king has only approved certain types of stories and certain types of art, and anybody who practices anything outside of that is prosecuted. So the main girl is an orphan that's trying to make a living with her talent as a story peddler, but she gets kind of drawn into this rebellion. And as I said, the things that really drew me to this book were the very creative magic elements and how beautifully it was written. Everything just flowed so nicely. It was so engaging. It was one of those books I just sat down and I was absolutely immersed in the story and just flew right through it without even realizing I was reading it. So I really like that. The only thing about this Story Peddler book that I do have some reservations about is that it got very preachy towards the end. And this is a young adult fantasy that is published by a Christian publisher, which I have no problem with. My only problem with is, I guess I didn't realize that when I started reading it, and at the end, they start talking a lot about the true creator and how everybody who's not following him is wrong. And so it got kind of preachy, just like in the last couple chapters of the book. Now, I believe the second book is called The Story Rebel, and it comes out, I think that's what it's called, and it comes out later this year. I do plan on reading it, but I was getting a little nervous at the end because the super creative, interesting, magical story started to get a little bit preachy, and I was like, I don't need to be kind of banged over the head by their beliefs in their one creator and how important this is for everybody's life and soul and all this stuff. So, that's one I was a little bit like, oh my God, I love this so much. And then I kind of felt like, oh, I don't know if I like where this is going. But that happened right at the end of the book, so I'm definitely willing to give the second book a shot. So those were the 4 books for me that I really thought were different and stood out. When I am looking at books that, for me, are very differentiated from other books, since I do read so much, I personally am usually looking for something that is different and creative, is exciting, is very magical. I like books a lot that are easy to read. Like, they are very engaging and I want to pick them up. And when I sit down and read them, I want it to be somewhat effortless. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm forcing myself to do this. Now, that being said, if there is a book where I can learn some really interesting things from or has a very different writing style, I am willing to put more effort in to experience something very different like that. So those are the kind of things I generally look for in a book. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to try to be doing this series every month. And you like that kind of stuff, feel free to tune in and let me know if there's anything you'd like me to read or cover in this series as well. That's all I really have to say. So I'm hoping I can do this in addition to my Stacking the Shelves and some of my other series. I'm trying to do a little bit more on my YouTube channel. I do primarily work on my blog, so that's where all my book reviews and author interviews and all that stuff happen. But I'm trying to get better at doing some more things on this YouTube channel so that people who primarily like to view me through YouTube can do that. So if you have any suggestions of things you'd like to see me doing on the channel, or if you're interested in Stacking the Shelves and these book reviews and things like that, I am going to have some posts coming up about, how I read so much and where you can get free books and those kind of things. And if you're interested in that, please go ahead and subscribe below. And if you really want to make sure you get all my posts, make sure you hit the little notification bell, because that is the only way you will always know when I'm posting something. If you just subscribe, you won't necessarily get pinged by YouTube on that. So, all right. I hope you guys are having a great week and you've been reading some wonderful books. And I will talk to you shortly, probably for Stacking the Shelves. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.